Hey there guys, this is Gibran Hernandez with Picket Realty and Picket Renovations. About 3 weeks ago we started on a series on things to look for when purchasing an investment property. And today we're going to be looking at one of the most important parts of a house, the electrical service on the outside and on the inside of the house. This can be one of the most expensive components to fix, and that's why we're going to show you what to look for that is going to be a red flag and let you know this needs a replacement. So come along and we're going to take a look at the outside panel. Alright, so we're here on the outside unit, which is called the main electrical panel box. Now there's a couple of things that you want to see here that are going to already hint to you right away whether you need to update this electrical system or not. So the first thing we want to look at is the main breaker. Now you'll see that some panels don't have a main breaker. If your panel does not have a main breaker, I highly recommend you updating it because it will likely not pass any home inspector's inspection. Now this one has a main panel, but there's a big problem here. So one thing we want to look at on top of it that's going to tell us what that problem is the brand. So you can see this panel box is rusted away and I can't see the brand. Now luckily I've done enough of these that I know that these small breakers, you see how these are a lot smaller than this main one and they're very colorful. This is a brand called Zinsco, and Zinsco panel breakers were found to be defective and that they can cause fires to happen in the house. Also, there's another company called Federal Pacific. You'll see their breaker boxes have an F and a P with a lightning bolt in the middle. Those panel box breakers are also found to be defective and they can cause the whole house to catch on fire. If you have one of these, I highly recommend replacement because that can mean that your house can burn down, whether it's a rental or a retail property. Now, for the next part of this, I'm going to have to give a disclaimer. I do not recommend anybody do this at their own house because this can be extremely dangerous. Have a licensed electrician do this for you. I'm very familiar with working on this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. So what I've done is I've removed this screw and this screw, which is going to allow me to remove this panel to see the actual wiring behind it. So here, let me go ahead and take this off. It's not hard to take off, but it is dangerous because these wires behind here are live, and you can get yourself in some extreme pain and possibly even death if you touch one of these. So what we're looking at here is the actual color of the wires that are going to the house, which are going to be these smaller breakers. Now I can look at them and I can see that that's copper, copper, copper all the way down, which is a great symbol. If I saw aluminum, sort of like the main one here, then I know that not only do I have to replace this panel box, I also need to redo the entire wiring in the whole house. And the reason behind that is aluminum wiring cannot hold the same amount of heat as copper wiring, and therefore it can cause the whole house to burn down, which is an extreme safety hazard. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you inside the house and I'm going to show you some things that you need to look at on the inside of the property to know whether, even if you have copper, you should do some updating. So let's take you inside. So you're probably wondering why I'm crouched down here. Well, the reason is I wanted to point out one real quick thing. As you can see, this cable here, this is a 220 electrical, no junction box. The cable comes straight out of the wall. Now, sometimes this is allowed, sometimes it's not. Most jurisdictions won't allow it. So make sure you get a professional, licensed electrician out here and they'll be able to tell you. Let's go take a look at something else. So right here we have another telltale sign that something has been done wrong in this property. As you can see here, this cable is not intended to be connected straight through the sheetrock. Anytime that you have that, there would either be a junction box there and it would be made for that, or there would be an outlet that you can plug in there. So as you can see here, the garage door opener has an outlet that it actually plugs into. This is correct to code. The other one is not. So down here you can see this is a real familiar outlet. This is a standard outlet that we use in the United States. It uses a 110. And as you'll see, it's got the two lines here and the little mouth there. I call this a smiley face outlet. It's got two eyes and a mouth. Now what you got to remember is that in older houses, usually anything built before the 80s, you're not going to have this one down here. This one down here is called the ground, and it protects some of your more important electronics such as TVs, computers, those kinds of things that are very expensive. So if you find that you're in a house where this is not grounded, you probably want to have a professional licensed contractor look at it and let you know what it will cost to upgrade it to a grounded outlet. So today we've looked at the electrical system and we looked at the inside, which is some of the smaller things. I want to recap briefly the electrical panel because this is the really big thing you have to look for. Remember, look for the brand. Zinsco, Federal Pacific, no good. Won't pass code. You need to have either a General Electric or a D-Mark. The other thing you want to look for is sometimes you have a homeowner who wants to kind of do it himself, or you have an investor who doesn't want to hire a licensed professional, and you'll wind up with things like this. As you can see here, this is PVC plumbing that is used for actual water plumbing. This is not electrical conduit. This won't pass in any jurisdiction. It won't pass under any codes. And this is really dangerous because it's not the right materials. So remember, always have a licensed professional contractor come out here and let you know whether your system needs to be updated or not. The cost on the back end will supersede what you'll spend on the front end for the inspection. Thank you so much. Again, you can always check us out at www.whitepicketrealty.com and learn more about what to look for when purchasing an investment property. My name is Gibran Hernandez, and we'll see you next time.